sit next to you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get the meeting started. Roll call.
Negotiate with you, sit here.
Secretary Treasurer Caitlin Parker.
Here.
Commissioner Ward Richards.
Here.
Commissioner Catherine
You'll hear his name.
I'm
here.
Chairman.
Court Counsel Greg Hagan.
Here. Will you please rise for the pledge of allegiance?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get going, I was wondering if we could just, past weekend, I think there was 2 police officers that got killed. Heather Hare, she was murdered, so if we can just have a moment of silence in memory of those people. Great, thank you very much. All right. I'd like to welcome, I see some of our friends from the city. I see our city manager from Riviera Beach is here, and I think there's probably some others. So welcome all our elected officials that are here today. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? If so, do we have a motion to approve? We have a motion, second, any discussion? All in favor, all opposed, carries 5-0. Additions, deletions, presentations, announcements.
Mr. Chair, we'd like to pull item H7. We'll be bringing that back in the month of September.
Good.
That's the only change we have.
Good. All right, any presentations or anything else?
Well, actually, there was a request, but I'm not sure if we want to do it now or at the end for a special meeting. Don,
We'll do that at the end.
you got it.
Good. Consent agenda, does anyone have anything they need to pull out of the consent?
Move approval.
Approval, Commissioner Richards. Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, all opposed, carries 5-0. Okay, district report.
Thank you, Commissioners, and it's been 6 weeks since we met last. Let's discuss a recent visit with Congressman Brian Mast. Please let me remind you that Congressman Mast visited the port on August 2nd. Prior to that, Commissioner Waldron and I met with him at his office up in Washington, D.C. as we attended the AAPA Spring Conference. At that time, we invited him to come to visit the port so we could provide him with a port project overview and a short tour of the port. As we know, Congressman Mast sits on the Transportation Committee. He has assured us that he will assist us in applying for infrastructure grants when time comes. Also, yesterday morning, Congressman Mast was the guest speaker at the North Palm Beach Chamber breakfast held in Jupiter. We had several guests at our table, and Commissioner Waldron participated in the event. She and I had the opportunity to thank him personally for his recent visit to the port, and you can see a picture of the 3 of us. Moving on, export opportunity for your information. The Business Development Board is going to have a summit in this building, in this room, on export opportunities for Palm Beach's business people. I, along with 4 others, will be addressing the issue at the event scheduled for October 11th this year. Next, Commissioner, is the distribution center and related logistics investment. The firm of CPCS has conducted or is conducting a study sponsored by FDOT. I'd like to provide you with an update. This distribution logistics study, first let me remind you that it has very little to do with an inland port. The study will concentrate on 5 logistics regions. This research firm is going to study in depth how cargo flows into these 5 regions. They have conducted an initial study, and we were in fact contacted by a former port director by the name of Paul DiMariano, and he alerted us that they were going to make a change where you see the cities, and then they're changing that to regions. So we will be part of that Southeast Florida region for this study. Incidentally, it is too early in the study, therefore the first paper will not be ready until next quarter. Just recently, during our budget workshop, we talked about rail. And if you recall, we talked about this during our last board meeting. Here's an update. Immediately after that board meeting, 4 staff members, which also includes Richard Pinsky and FDOT, are working in a joint effort to submit a grant application by the middle of September 2017. After our last meeting, we immediately contacted FDOT District 4, and they have agreed to fund Trans Systems Engineering Company to conduct a rail study. The study will determine the optimal track layout and infrastructure to support the potential increase in rail activity at the Port of Palm Beach. Also, the economic impact portion of this study will include a determination of the number of jobs created once the project is completed. And as previously mentioned, our goal is to submit the application by the middle of September 2017. For your information, Commissioners, we are planning to lobby certain elected officials in our government agencies for letters of support for this project. We're doing that because we've heard that other ports are doing exactly the same thing. Once again, this is an $85 million grant that the governor of the state of Florida has presented to the state's 15 deep water seaports and other agencies. Moving on with the master plan update, we have gone over to the county, and it was a 7-0 vote, not 9, 7-0 vote, and very little public comments. Our next step would be the adoption hearing and final vote of approval, which is scheduled for Monday, October the 30th, 2017. Events, of course, yesterday, as I just mentioned, Congressman Mass and the breakfast up at the North Palm Beach County. On August 29th and 30th, that's next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Florida Ports Council annual board meeting, which will be up in Port Canaveral. I will be attending that, obviously because of the FESTED board meeting as well as the allocations of funds. October 2nd, meet and greet with the Governor Rick Scott in 2017 Latin American Summit Intercontinental in Miami. That is a Monday. And then of course the aforementioned economic export opportunities for the Palm Beaches County Business Seminar, BDB Enterprise Florida, and using the ports board room. I think I'm done. If you have any questions, please.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
If not, then I'll pass it over to Jose. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I will present my engineer report. I will start off with the project of Verse 17. During the month of July, the contractor continued with the construction of the bulkhead, starting, he's working on the north side, which is at this point 90% completed, and continue to work on the west side. Next activity will continue with the south side and then the dredging inside of the berth. As you can see here, during the month of July, installed the rebar, the steel forms, and proceed to cast and the concrete of the bottom of the north side. During this process, the contractor, there were some issues regarding the the placing of the concrete, which I will explain in the next slide. Right now, the contractor already completed the north side of the wall. They are working on the west wall, which would be the area where the vessel will actually land through the earth. And we'll continue with the dredging inside the area. As you can see here, this is the final finish of the north side of the wall. On the right side, we can see that we have some honeycombs, which are basically openings in the concrete that could allow water to get into the structure and potentially corrode the rebar in a faster way that will be, if the construction will be as per specifications. Regarding this issue, a non-conformance report was sent to the contractor, instructing them to proceed with a repair procedure. The procedure was submitted by AECOM's structural engineer, in which he requires that the concrete affected area should be saw-cut in a horizontal or vertical way in each area where you have a honeycomb. They have to shift down the concrete at least 3/4 of an inch inside the area, and then it will proceed to apply what is called a cementous mortar fast setting product. In the same issue, the board decided to contract a third-party entity. We brought in Roberto Valvis from Alderman Associate. He came in, did an assessment of the area, and basically he agreed on the procedure that was presented by AECOM. And in addition to, he expressed that the contractor should engage in a better quality control process in order for us to have a very quality, better finish in the next areas of the project.
Okay?
Yes.
So when you say honeycombs, you're not referring to the horizontal lines with the holes? What are the honeycombs, please?
Honeycombs are openings in the concrete. Basically, most of the time is because bad vibration. The mortar around the aggregate did not cover the area completely, and you have is, instead of a smooth surface, we will have openings will allow the water to come into the area. But this is the most.
The honeycombs here? Or
The one on the right, correct? Yes.
It's supposed to be smooth, isn't it?
It should be smooth, even if you could, well, they were using the best forms that you can have, is the steel form. So if you do a good process, you should have a straight, smooth surface. Basically here, you don't have to be an engineer or related to construction to see that that's not a good outcome of a structure. You can see the different layers of concrete, how it was placed.
And Jose, the repair job is anticipated to maintain the useful life of the structure?
The repair process that was submitted by AECOM will be as, the end of product should be the same as it was constructed correctly in the first place. We will have the same lifespan of the structure I was expecting in the originals.
Thank you.
Jose, did we look at the first wall they completed is fine?
That's the first one.
No, this is the first wall? I
This
thought
is the
this
first
was the
one.
second wall, okay.
So this is the first one, which is the north side. Right now, they're working on the west wall. So some of the items that AECOM and Roberto came up with that would be required to the contractor in the next board is they have to submit a quality control plan for the board, in which they should monitor the slump of the concrete before they allow them to pour in the structure. The lifts, the thickness of the lifts of the concrete should not be over 18 inches. And obviously to have enough equipment to vibrate the concrete to have a smooth surface. Contractor right now is working on the west side. We expect, just to mention, we expect that the repairs can be performed while the contractor continues to work on the next wall. So it should not affect the construction, the timing of the construction of the wall. So as of today, the contractor has completed 90% of the north wall. They're working on the west wall. One of the concerns that the board staff has is that the contractor indicated that they will be completed in the bulkhead by the end of August. In the last update, they shift that date to the 25th of September. So they basically delay the finishing of the activity by a month. Even though they indicate that it's not in the critical path, we are not comfortable with that, with what they're presenting in the schedule, and we expressed that we are concerned that the project is gonna be delayed over the December the 5th final completion date that they expressed that they're committing to. But most of all, our main concern is the dredging under the dolphin structures and the dredging in the channel, which, based on their schedule, they're supposed to already start in August the 8th. Today is August 17, and they don't even have a subcontractor to do the dredging. Originally, they were starting negotiations with Advanced Construction. We were informed that they were starting June 19th. 2 months after, as the contractor expressed, Advanced Construction withdrew the position of being a subcontractor for LMH, which is the general contractor for the project. And now they're engaging on a negotiation with another company called Cashman Dredging. As of yesterday, which was the project meeting, they expressed that they are hopeful that the contractor will come in and start dredging on the 28th of August. Still, that's 20 days after what they presented in the schedule. So we expressed in letters from the board directly to the contractor that we are not comfortable with the way the performance of the project. We are concerned that they will not be able to complete all the water work prior to the manatee season, which starts November the 15th. And if that happens, project on the water side will be stopped until April. So basically, it would be 136 days of non-work in the water side of the project, because we cannot work that on that side. Even though their schedule reflects that they're delayed, and they haven't started all the activities that are supposed to already being performed of today, they still think that they can complete the project by December the 5th. We don't see that happening. There's no, and based on the performance, they have been saying that they will start the dredging every week for the last 2 months. So we are concerned. We are concerned that the project is going to be completed, and even though we budgeted that the project would be completed, and we could have the berth available in January of next year. If we don't get that performed before the manatee season, it's mostly great expectation that we will not have. So, so you know, the next activity will be the construction of the dolphin structures, which, based on their schedule, they're supposed to already start in August 15. They have not started yet, and if the dredging is behind schedule by 20 days, that means that this activity is also impacted by 20 days. If they start on August 28th and everything goes according to their plan, I mean by that the durations of the activities are on target. But that said, that they will spend 10 days dredging under the dolphin structures, and then and they will take 5 weeks dredging in the outside channel. They could be able to finish the construction of the dolphin structures by October 27th. But that would be that everything goes according to plan, no mistakes, no hurricanes or anything. So we want to express back again that the board is concerned that the contractor is not performing as per expected, and they will not be able to hold the date that they expect to finish the project. Cost-wise, as of today, the contractor has invoiced 73% of the cost of the project. That is $7.5 million as of today. They have a balance of $2.9 million. If you compare the invoice versus the actual activities performed on the project side, they are behind. The difference is 8%. So they have 73% of invoicing, but on the project side they are at 69% of the completion. Even though the time is already run out by 84%. as the revised contract date for completion of the project as of today is July 11. Only 6 days have been added to the contract period, which were included in the change order number 1. No additional change orders have been approved, including that had included additional days of construction. So as of today, the project has been delayed over the final completion date that is approved for the contract. Have any questions regarding version 18?
So what I'm hearing, I think, is that you don't think it's gonna be done before manatee season, right? It's very unlikely, given,
Basically, if we take in consideration what the contractor is presenting in their
Right.
updates, the last projected update is already behind schedule. And it's projected that the project will be completed December the 5th. And if you delay the critical activities by a month, which is like what's happening, it would be great. But our main concern is that even though if they finish all the bulkhead and the upland area, if they don't complete the water side by November 15th, they're.
Right, Jose, go ahead and move on to the MOB. We could talk about this for the rest of the night if you want, but let's move on.
MOB. The project MOB includes the demolition of the, obviously the MOB building and the development of a 3-acre area around the MOB. That area is gonna be redeveloped to be used as a reefer area for one of the tenants. As of today, 8 weeks of the design process have been completed. Items have been completed up to date. The sub-consultant from CH2M Hill System already performed the assessment for asbestos and lead paint and hazardous materials of the building. The report is gonna be available in the next few weeks. CH2M Hill already collected all the existing drawings for projects that have been constructed around the perimeter of the area that's gonna be developed. They identified the foundation limits and utility structures that are around the area that's gonna be developed, and at the same time, they're verifying the elevations of the areas around it and how will be impacted by the new development of the new structure. Coordination with utilities companies like FPNL and AT&T has been conducted in the last few weeks. This week we had the most progress meetings with them. FPNL is already engaging in their design process for the removal, the disconnection of the building and removal of existing transformers, as well as the design for the undergrounding the aerial lines that go through the MOB area. Additional process that are still in process would be Tropical to provide the port's designer with the final location of the reefer structures, the containers area and travelways. This is required in order for us to complete the design of the utilities direction in order for us to complete the development of the 3-acre area. Tropical has, based on our schedule to the end of August, to provide this information before it starting impacting our design process. And another coordination process that is still pending is the coordination with FDOT. In potential impact on working right next to the sky pass, we have to demolish the structure is next to a sky pass and the right of way. So some coordination needs to be performed with them. Those 2 items still outstanding and they're in process as we speak. So of the 32 weeks of design after approval of the board, we already covered 8 weeks. We have 20 to go, and we're comfortable to come back to the board by the month of January 2018 to request approval to go to bid.
Mike Bama, litigation counsel, will speak to us as to the strategy moving forward, please. Would you call?
Don, did you wanna, we have a question on what our next?
We obviously received a report from our engineer, a detailed report about his concerns. How is it that you would have us proceed at this point?
I'm going to ask the board to schedule a special meeting at your convenience and have an executive session before that to
okay, discuss the litigation and direction from the board in that regard, to discuss it in an executive session.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
And basically, that our last part is just to present that tomorrow we're receiving the bids for the main rails for improvement phase 1. So for the board meeting of September, we're gonna present the bid process and the evaluations and the recommendations for it. So if you have any questions?
Any more questions? Okay, thank you. Steve?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Richard Pinsky, Ackerman LLP. In your packet, you have the report, 1 or 2 items to update. Actually, now there's been almost 100 pieces of legislation been filed, all on the Senate side. You see the upcoming committee week agenda, and actually the Senate issued their detailed agenda for that week of September 12th. We've still not heard anything on the House side. And I also put in there for you a public hearing schedule for the Palm Beach County legislative delegation. And even though we don't necessarily have a local bill, there may be an ask that we will have, and so take note of that. One way or the other, I think it's a good public relations effort to have someone from the Port Commission attend one meeting at least. You get 3 minutes to present, and it's always good to give an overview, especially since we have a lot of good news over this past year to report to the legislative delegation. What's not in your packet, but I just used as a handout, and I brought extras that I'll put out on the table for members of the public, and that is the Senate committees were reordered. We had a resignation in the Senate, and also one senator that was out due to illness is back, so the Senate President reordered. And a particular note I just want to bring to your attention again, on page 5, you'll see that our own Senator Bobby Powell is Vice Chair of the Transportation and Economic Development Appropriations Committee. And that means any requests coming from a port, like the Port of Palm Beach, would go through that committee. And we have our own Bobby Powell, who is Vice Chair of the committee, which is very influential. And so should we end up with an on-port rail ask or an expansion plan from the MOB teardown, et cetera, any infrastructure improvements. The other piece that I put in there is from the Department of Economic Opportunity. There are so many questions about the $85 million job growth and infrastructure incentive grant. And right now that $85 million has, as of this morning, it's about $200 million in asks already in the door that are sitting there. There is no deadline, so I thought would be beneficial is actually giving you the Q&A, the frequently asked questions, because many of you have called me and asked me these questions, so I thought this would be a good idea to put this out. As you recall, this past session, there were $2 billion of project requests. 40 million went to water, and there was about another 25 million that went to cultural and economic development programs. So you can see that the requests are going to mount up. There's no deadline, so the sooner you get it in, the sooner they'll act on it. But one agreement that everyone has is that clearly before the January session, all $85 million will be gone. And that is primarily because I'm sure the governor would like to come back and ask for more money and use it or lose it. So he's got to spend, the agencies are going to have to spend that money first. And 25 million has to be dedicated to the infrastructure. The rest can either be for a job growth program or infrastructure both. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
The old business, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Topic at hand is the Palm Beach Maritime Museum. We continue to hear that there is interest, however, the county really is, for lack of a better word, cautious about proceeding. So therefore, my suggestion is that we hold a summit here at the port, and we invite members of each and every one of those, either agency members or members of particular groups, and we discuss the possibility of having ideas on how to proceed with a new tenant for Peanut Island. I understand there's a card in front somewhere that someone is interested in talking to us about possibly leasing one of the facilities, but that's coming up. Anyway, this is just informational. We're planning on having this summit sometime between now and the next board meeting, and that's all I have with regards to the Peanut Island issue.
Manuel, just one question. The county had indicated that they thought the port needed to have a structural engineer do an analysis of what was needed. Have you given that any consideration or
If that's
proceeded?
what they are requesting, that's just, again, is for the county to take over. Perhaps there are other city or other entities that may not be making that request. We're looking at a lot of money for that particular site. Now, we did have one facility study, if you can recall, that seems $2 million dues, and we could give that in.
But it wasn't by a structural engineer.
That is correct.
And I think, you know, as much as I'd like to say we'll have a white knight come up and help us with this, I think having that analysis would be beneficial in getting a variety of organizations to get behind the effort. So you might want to think about that.
Mr. Chairman, I'm in agreement with Commissioner McAlpin because I feel that we should have it. I mean, if you're interested in Peanut Island, if there's an entity, they would want to know what's going on there first. Or what are they getting into? And I think if we have that analysis, it would eliminate some people, and then other organizations that are really interested in coming apart and taking over the island, they might not have the money, but then they might have to look at, see where they can get the funds from. So I think the analysis would be imperative for people who are interested to know what's going on and what they're getting into.
Thank you. By what date will the premises be vacated?
October 31st.
And we're August, that's 2 months.
That is correct.
We need a plan of action to protect those facilities that we
Security.
review and approve.
Absolutely. We are working on that, Commissioner. It calls for a lot of different things, but within a normal cost. And it may mean that we would have to close the facility and have our own guards out there.
Whatever it may take, we
Correct.
want this, we need to see that, we need to be prepared and debate it.
We will definitely be bringing something back in December, September.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Also, get an idea of this cost, I mean, the structural, I'm not really in favor of that, but like I say, at least I'd like to see how much it is.
Sure.
Because we could go ahead and spend $100,000 and then the county would still say they're not interested, and what good is that gonna do us, so. Anyway, so bring that back. We do have one card from Karen Marcus who'd like to speak on this item.
Sorry, I got here late. Karen Marcus, I'm here on behalf of the Palm Beach Civic Association, and we want to encourage you and totally support this project. As the former District 1 Commissioner, I always felt the bunkers should have been part of Peanut Island, part of the park system. We have met with Virginia Baker and encouraged her to do this. We've talked to Commissioner Balashay's office. I believe he is supportive. I spoke to Eric Hall. It's my understanding he's putting together a white paper to present to the commission to show the costs. He feels comfortable that there's money out there to redo the bunker. It's perhaps just the ongoing operational costs after that, but we will be there as an advocate to help make this happen with the county. It is a lost opportunity, missed opportunity if we don't. And so just wanted to be here on behalf of the Civic Association to encourage you to keep moving in this direction, and we will help facilitate that as best we can.
Great.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, G2. G?
Lagoon keeper?
Well, if there's, well, if somebody else wants to speak on this, come on up.
Lagoon keepers? Greg?
Greg Reynolds, Executive Director and founder of LagoonKeepers.org. It's a local nonprofit that takes care of the intercoastal waterway in Palm Beach County. Like I luckily say, well, thankfully say, for the last 14 years, we removed 275 vessels out of the intercoastal waterway in Palm Beach County under the nonprofit. What we would like to do is use Peanut Island, the Coast Guard station, as a public outreach facility. Even though we've been in existence for 14 years, removed 275 vessels, over 2.2 million pounds of debris, we found that a lot of people haven't still don't even know us. So we're trying to put a face on Lagoon Keepers publicly, and also help out the board with their little dilemma here of having to board it up. We'd be happy to enter into a month-to-month contract or whatever, or long-term, either way. We see benefit on both sides.
Okay, just a second. I think that's something that you need to, sit down with staff and, talk to them about and give them some ideas what you have. And we certainly will, think about it and, see what the county does. I think that's kind of most of us, our first choice to see, what the county's gonna do. Okay. All right,
We
well-
would be very happy with it, even if it was a stopgap situation.
Okay.
We just hate to see it closed.
All right, yeah, all right, great, thank you.
Next is G2. That's Mr. Pinsky's. Good. Acting.
Somebody from staff, open it up.
Yeah, we don't need to.
No.
Hear from Richard. No speeches.
No speech.
All right, just real quick, Commissioners, last board meeting, we extended Mr. Pinsky's contract for 30 days. The contract is in front of you, and now it is up to the board to vote on his extension.
I move approval of the extension.
Okay, we have
I'm contract for the additional year.
Second? I'll second the motion. For any discussion? And under discussion, under discussion, I would just want to thank Mr. Pinsky for what he's done for the last few years. He certainly has put us in a good position in Tallahassee and in Washington. And I appreciate all the hours that he puts in, and the amount of salary that he gets it's a great deal for us. And I just want to say, as one commissioner, I appreciate what you've done for the thing.
Mr. Pinsky called me the other day, very professional, and we had a nice talk and candid. I'm afraid I still can't support the contract because of my concern over what I perceive as either an inherent or a potential conflict of interest when he's the lobbyist for Rybovich, one of our tenants, and the port. So for that reason, I will not be supporting the contract. Thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't here last month, and I just wanted to ask Manny, I mean, I knew there's a lot of issues that we have in front of us, the $85 million, the logistics center, which, Mr. Pinsky has been very involved in for many years, so, I guess I'm not asking for, well, I guess I am maybe asking for your recommendation.
Absolutely. There's something else that's missing, and that's the vested grants that Mr. Pinsky in the past has helped me acquired by speaking directly with FDOT. As I mentioned in the past, I fully support maintaining this contract for Pinsky for another year, and I don't see any potential challenges or conflicts at all.
Mr. Chairman?
I'll defer.
Go ahead.
I'm in agreement with Mr. MacArthur because I feel that it is a conflict of interest. And I know Mr. Pinsky, I like him, but I know that he's involved in a whole lot of other things. And to represent the port, I don't think that it looks good that he represents this body and all the other things that he's involved in. and therefore I'm in agreement with Mr. MacArthur. I do feel that, Port has had, we have used so many different consultants and people in different areas over the years. And I feel that it's now time that we might need to put it out on the streets to find out what else, who else, what other companies are out there who can represent us. Because I think that we're missing a whole lot. And for years, people have said, Port uses the same old folks, the same old consultants. We don't even know what's out there. And I feel that if we put it out, then Ms. Lipinski can, bid for it, and if we pick him, then fine. But, under the circumstances today, I cannot say yes.
Okay, Wayne?
Yeah, as an attorney, I'm always concerned about conflicts of interest or the appearances of same. And I've listened to Commissioner MacArthur in the past, voice his concerns, and I understand your concerns, and I appreciate you sharing them with us. But Ms. Lipinski has not crossed the line in my mind. We're always concerned about those issues, but I have no issue at all. I know both entities, and I'm also aware of the extent of his representation of Rockbridge as it relates to the Port, and there's no conflict in my mind. I fully support this. I thank you for your efforts to date and going forward.
All right, so, then if there's no other discussion.
If I can just say something,
Oh, sure.
with regards to,
Absolutely.
sorry, Commissioner Enright. You know, we all know there's quite a few lobbyists out there. I'm from DC, you can't, help but run into them every second. But in terms of, not that that's a bad thing, but, in terms of cost benefit, we're paying $3,000 a month and we're getting state and federal representation. And you can't, I can tell you that, you cannot get that deal anywhere.
All opposed?
Yeah.
Okay, passes 3-2. Thank you very much for making it proud. Thank you, we know you will. Thank you. All right. New business.
Commissioners, good evening. This evening before you is H1, Paradise Cruise Line Operator Agreement for a multi-vessel operating agreement. Today is a historic day at the Port of Palm Beach. This agreement will bring all-time high passenger counts, record revenues, and astounding economic growth to our port and our community. I'd like to review some of the prime terms of the agreement with you. It is a multi-vessel agreement, covers 2 cruise ships, the Grand Celebration and the Grand Classica. It is a 10-year initial term with 2 5-year renewal options. The cruise vessels both will use Slip 1, the north side, berth number 2. The commencement is anticipated to begin in May of 2018. The deadline for commencement is June 1, 2018. The agreement calls for the port to provide a passenger loading bridge in the event one is needed. At this time, we're not certain of that. There's also a provision in the agreement that calls for cruises to pay the port $12,000 for any missed sailing. To pay the port $12,000 for any missed sailing that the cruise line would regularly have on their schedule. This would be for cruises where they would have a special charter, such as they've had in the past where the military has chartered their vessel, and we have missed those sailings and that associated revenue and parking. There's a provision in the agreement under the third-party depositor that if ever a shortfall exists while the port is holding that security deposit, that shortfall would be funded back, so that we would always have that $150,000 funded in that security deposit by the port in the case that it was ever drawn down. There is a default penalty. In the event cruises defaults, cruises will guarantee the port 90 days of passenger charges. That is without reduction of the marketing contribution, so that is full passenger charges. There is a termination clause. Cruises shall have the ability to terminate the agreement in agreement years 4 and 5 by providing 120 days notice to the port. That is also subject to the penalty clause that I just expressed. The rates have been negotiated already for the 10-year initial term, so they are pre-negotiated, and they're in the schedule that was shown to you. Paul will go over some financials with you next. There is also a relief for mechanical breakdowns in the event the vessel or vessels have a mechanical breakdown, and that is something that the executive director has the authority to allow them some relief for 3 to 4 days, up to 10 times in that month during that year. And all the other items in the agreement are consistent with the current cruise operators agreement. Now, if I could move on, I'd like to just review with you the diagram in slip 1. In slip 1, we have 260 feet. The width of that slip, we also want to take into consideration the fenders on both sides of that slip, which are 5 feet each. So if you have 260 feet and you deduct that 10 feet for fenders, you're left with 250 feet. The Classica, the beam of the Classica, is 101 feet, leaving us 149 feet. The pilots require a 50-foot clearance for a tug lane in the event a tug needs to get into the slip between the vessels, leaving us 99 feet. Currently, Tropical's widest vessel on order is 80 feet. So if that vessel were also in slip 1 on the south side of the slip, there would be an excess of 19 feet in addition to the 50-foot tug lane. We do have a diagram of this, I think we're trying to locate. It was also in your board materials.
The other slide's on there. You want to get that?
Okay. I'll move on. I'd like to just review port direct local expenditures that the port provides the community. We currently, over the 10-year period, based on estimates of our current spending, we will be providing the City of Riviera Beach $4.4 million in water, $1.3 million in police services. Again, that's based on our current spending. So over the 10-year period, that would be $5.7 million. We also will be expending $10.5 million in security fees and over $2 million in janitorial services. Moving on to the Bahamas Paradise, what they spend locally in our community. Currently, with the current ship, the cruise line is spending over $37 million a year just locally in our community. Food, supplies, fuel, hotels, parking, employment, pilot fees, all of these things annually, they're spending, direct spending right into our local economy, over $37 million. They're estimating once they add the second ship, that number will be in excess of $73 million a year, right into our local economy. They're employing right here at this cruise terminal 115 people. They will be adding 70 people to that number. Those people will be ticketing people, customer service people, luggage handlers, valet people. And the cruise line, the agent, and the valet company have agreed to have a job fair right here in Riviera Beach after the 1st of next year, and to hire those people from right here in our own community. So we're very excited about that. With the new cruise ship being here at the port, we'll have over 1,500 crew that are coming off of the ship periodically every single day, spending money right here in our neighborhood, in our restaurants and in our stores. And that's very exciting for this port and our community. And if I could ask Mr. Zelinski to share with you the financial impact of the two vessels.
The two ships will have an annual capacity of 1,295,000 passengers. That's approximately 600,000 more that sail in the single ship that sails today. The financial impact that's been presented to the board assumes that after 2 years of ramp-up, the vessels peak out at a 60% capacity. They are currently sailing at a 70% capacity, and the business plan for our tenant calls for it to be at 70% in 2 years. So we are extremely conservative in what we've presented to you. The net passenger revenue at the 60% will be $44.6 million. At 70%, that jumps to nearly 50. These are fixed rates in the contract for 10 years. If you add the parking revenue that the port will be getting over the next 10 years, total revenue comes to $72.6 million at 60%, almost $82 million at 70%, and I can tell you that I've raised the rate for parking, assuming that most of these cars needed to go west of US 1 and it was going to cost us more. So again, conservatism on the estimate. We spoke about direct expenses. After those, the port will make net income of $54 million at the 60% and $63 million from the 70%. Currently, it's 39% from one ship. I do want to point out that those expenses, as Jared went through them, significant part of it goes directly to Riviera Beach. And if you take the $75 million that the ship is putting into the local economy, and you add our 18, you come very close to $100 million over the course of this contract going into the local economy. The contract also includes guaranteed passenger counts each and every year. The current agreement, the net income on our guarantee, would guarantee the port, whether the passengers sailed or not, $19.5 million. The new agreement for two ships would guarantee the port approximately $40 million over the same time frame. The economic impact of this ship, of the two ships to the port, cannot be underestimated. It is a significant foundation for this port in the future.
Carl, can I ask you to go back to slip 1 diagram, please? Commissioners, this is the diagram I was referring to earlier. If any of you have any questions on this, happy to answer them.
No, we've looked it over in the past. I mean, we've seen this, and it doesn't seem like it would be any problem. I was just curious. I didn't know if we had a port pilot. Do we have any of the pilots here today?
Yes, sir, we do.
Maybe he can come on up and just tell him what process he's going through. Hi, come on up. Thank you.
Hello, how are you? I'm Captain Reed Hansen. I'm one of the 5 harbor pilots here. This ship is safe to come here. We've done a lot of study. We actually turned down a different vessel that they wanted to bring here of similar size due to its handling characteristics. But this one was vetted completely by our organization, and it's deemed safe with the current channel configuration in the slip. We have about 900 transits now with the current grand celebration of similar size without incident.
And I know they've even offered to fly you over to, I think, Greece or Italy, wherever the ship is now. So that's a possibility also.
Correct, that offer's still on the table. It's looking like October now.
Okay.
Was the offer, and we are willing to go if
Captain, thank you for being here. I've heard that there's a concern that with this second ship, we may need to enlarge the channel, the train basin, or do extra dredging. What are your thoughts about that? This is
Sure. Well, you know, this coalition of Save Our Inlet You know, they put the kibosh on the widening of the turn, so all that did was make it less safe. However, it is still safe. It's just not as safe as it would be.
Okay, I'm gonna redirect the question here. Will this ship require us to do anything to the current configuration?
Other than maintenance dredging, right?
Correct.
No.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for your input.
Yes.
We always rely on you, and you guys are ultra conservative, so that's why we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Jared, you wanna, oh, I'm sorry, take it, go ahead.
Just two questions. You mentioned that Tropical's largest ship right now is 80 feet, and you said they're up to including their future plans. Do we know how far that is out in the future?
The ship that has an 80-foot beam, Commissioner, is on order. That will be their widest ship that they do receive, and that ship will be received in 2018. I'm not sure exactly what month.
Is there somebody from Tropical here?
But this
Mid-year next year, sir.
But this contract is for 10 years. Have we
Yes.
asked Tropical if they know what size ships they may be needing or wanting during that period?
We began discussions with Tropical in March, and we've had very open dialogue with them. And from our discussions, this was the widest ship that they would have in the south side of Slip 1.
Thank you.
So, is anybody from Tropical present right now?
Yes,
Oh,
Commissioner.
okay, so David, can they answer that? Or they
If you'd
just-
like.
Oh, I mean, or they just.
They wanna come up, they're more than welcome.
That's fine.
She just was wondering if they could verify that. Verify that?
Not that you don't know for sure, I just wanted to.
Ed Severino, Tropical Shipping. We've been in extensive talks with the port staff. We have talked about our future with shipping. We do have an 80-foot vessel on order. We have actually 4 of those that will be delivered in the next 18 months. We have not totally looked at what our plans would be for over 10 years. Obviously, at this point, I'm not at liberty to project what we'll be doing. We are always in the market, we're growing our business, and we're bringing on other charter ships. But we feel confident that we can work with the port. But I'm not at liberty to comment any further on future plans.
All right, well, thank you very much, appreciate your input.
Chairman, at this time, I would like to bring up Kevin Sheehan Sr. He is the chairman of the board for Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line.
Thank you.
Just say hello. I apologize, thank you Commissioners for letting me have the opportunity to speak here. I did not know I was speaking, thereby the dress is not acceptable, but it's me.
That's fine.
So we acquired the business about a year ago. It was, many of you may know, owned by some timeshare guys. And the opportunity was to elevate the brand and its presence in the community. My goal at the end of the day, as we get our second ship, my family, by the way, my wife, my son, and my daughter own 90% of the business, and our CEO, O'Neill, owns the remaining 10%. Small group. And our goal is to expand our presence in the community. As we move forward, we're looking for a 7-day opportunity. So there'd be a stay package in Palm Beach, a cruise over to Freeport, a couple of days in Freeport, and then the cruise back. So we think that would then become appealing, and it's not anything that's being done in the cruise industry. So that is the opportunity and where we're trying to go as a brand. And we believe that by having a ship every day enables us to do that. Just a couple little points I wanted to make. I know conservation and the environment are critically important to everyone here. Critically important to me. I had never been on a cruise ship before becoming the CEO of Norwegian Cruise Line. And I invite everyone to go look at the history of that brand. It was a bankrupt brand for 40 years, And it, when I left, it went from $1 billion to $11 billion of worth. But one of the key things that I wanted to do, and I don't know how many of you know Guy Harvey, a very famous environmental conservationist artist. So I did a deal with him because conservation was critically important to me, especially given the cruise industry. So he painted the whole of the last ship that I was there for. But we also put education on the TVs on the ship. So there was a constant flow of shows, and he's associated with several of the universities down here. So the environment and conservation is critically important to us and my family. So that's me, and that's where we come from. This was a very large investment for my family, so we take this very seriously. My son is the president, O'Neill is the CEO. I've hired Maria Miller, who used to be my chief marketing officer at Norwegian Cruise Line, and Dave Screppen, who used to be the chief financial officer, is now our chief financial officer. So we're bringing in industry guys and gals, obviously, that will help elevate the brand and I think make it a more prominent cruise line. And that is what we aspire to be. And we're very proud of our association here.
Great.
Anything else you want about me?
Any other
I'm a city kid. New York City, I was a cab driver, so I've come a long way from driving cabs to driving ships.
Right, well, thank you very much.
But nobody would ever let me drive a ship.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have some questions.
Okay.
So, you say annual local spending by the cruise line is 73.6 million basically, and can you explain how that data is collected, where that's coming from?
You're talking about the direct spending by the cruise line?
Uh-huh.
This data came directly from the chief financial officer of the cruise line. The only thing this does not include is what they pay the port.
Okay, so maybe somebody from the cruise could explain where that data's coming from, how it's collected.
One of you's gotta get up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is O'Neill. I'm the CEO of Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line. First of all, thank you for having us here and allowing us the opportunity to speak. As far as the expenditure is concerned, I don't have the exact numbers, but I can give you approximate numbers just so that for everyone to get a feel. We spent about $8 million to $9 million on buying fuel, bunkers. Our food cost is about $5 million a year. Our salaries and management expenses for the port is a few $1 million. We pay, it's a public number, we pay the port about $7 to $8 million a year. Food, salaries, bunkers, maintenance, parking. Through our passengers, the parking revenue is about $4 million a year. So if you add all these, we come to about a spend of $40 to $45 million directly related to our operations. Nothing to do with any multiplier effects or any indirect spending we do. We do not have the data, unfortunately, to fully tell you that how much our passengers spend, but it's our estimate that each of our passengers contributes $200 to $300 whenever they embark and disembark on the port. And if we multiply that with two.
Well, I have you. You mentioned the job fair. Can you go into a little more detail about that?
The job fair is actually to jointly with the port for recruitment of valet parking personnel. As you can imagine, today we don't have a ship every day, and having a ship every day and taking cars across US 1 would lead to almost hiring of another 30, 40, 50 personnel there. In the terminal, we have about 30 people helping the embarkation of passengers, which is happening only on alternate days. So obviously, as you can imagine, with the ship every day, we need either to increase that count or almost hire 50, 60, 70% more people to perform the same job. Same comes with our warehouse. As you know, a lot of Bahamian residents come here to shop. So we we need more people and more personnel in our warehousing, so valet, warehousing, terminal. And it's also the strength of our own office. As you can imagine, we would be increasing our head count for managing the operations and managing the marketing, managing the sales of the second shift. So definitely, that's something we've been talking to the port, and very preliminary stages, of course, because as you can imagine, the ship is coming in April. We have some time, but that's what the job fair is all about.
So the management, you're talking about potentially putting them here, because right now they're down in Deerfield.
Correct. Right now, our head office is in Deerfield Beach, and as you know, we inherited this business, or we bought this business 7 months back. Most of our employees come from Broward and Miami, and no one would want the operations to suffer or the business to suffer just because of a relocation. So we are at Deerfield. But having said that, we have been in talks with the port, and we are fully aware that the Board of Commissioners also is very keen on seeing us up here. That is definitely very high on our priority list. But again, I'll repeat myself, since the ship is coming in April and most of this recruitment would happen probably very close to the operations, there is some time, but certainly very high on our priority list to be here, because it also benefits us. We have an inherent benefit of being close to the ship. Today, a lot of our employees and a lot of our management people have to drive up to the ship. It could be a blessing in disguise for us, and that's certainly being discussed.
And just one last question, so you pay your people living wages, right?
Not me.
No, whose company pays?
No, I would say, without disclosing too much about the numbers, because I might not have the exact numbers in my head, I think we are at par with the industry. And I would also like to make a statement that even our crew on board, I can say with 100% confidence that we are either at par or above the industry standards. So we are not paying, yes, minimum wage people are people in the consumer, in our customer service and in our sales departments, but those are only minimum wages related to their hours of working. We have a bonus structure, as you can imagine, we have sales. So I wouldn't say any of our employees, not even a single employee, is on a minimum wage when we look at their paycheck at the month or at the end of the month or at the end of the pay period, because people who are getting hourly wages have a commission and bonus structure. In other words, if your question is what would be the wages for the people who will move, it's certainly higher than the minimum wage.
Thank you. Wayne,
Thank you. Welcome, and to the Sheen family. I'm very excited that you're adding a second ship. I've always said that if an entity does not grow, it's dying. That's true for the port, it's true for your business. It's critical for me as well that the local community benefit. And we spoke as well extensively about that. Two of our prominent chambers of commerce are represented by their directors, which speaks volumes as to the support and the importance of that. We have a local prominent business person here in the back. We have the city manager of the city of Riviera Beach is here, and many others. So it's incumbent upon local businesses, the chamber, and the city, and the port, and your entity to find ways to capture these dollars, because we don't want people simply driving up, leaving money here at the port, or spending on the ship only and leaving. So on an ongoing basis, how do we work together so that local businesses feel the benefit and that the local community improves? Critical. We can't just talk about it. We have to sit down and figure that out very, very quickly. What are your thoughts?
I fully appreciate, and this is a very sensitive topic, not only for you, but also for us. And I would only like to add that you might have noticed the ship has been here for 4 years. The interaction you've had with the cruise line, and this is a question for everyone on the panel and also the board officials here, that the level of interaction you've had with the new management and ownership since the business changed hands is certainly higher than what you probably experienced in last 4 or 5 years of the ship being here. And the same is true for what we are doing. Just as an example, we became a member of the Chamber of Commerce of West Palm Beach. We have become a member of Chamber of Commerce of North Palm Beach. We have become a member of the Marine Palm Beach Association. And we did that from the sole perspective of being a part of the community. One thing that really kind of took us by surprise when we bought the business and being in the business for 7 months was how little interaction the cruise line had with the local community. To the extent that most of the people were comparing our ship to Palm Beach Princess. And I personally experienced it a few times whenever I spoke about the ship to someone who's living just 10 miles off the port. He would say, "Isn't it the one that goes out twice a day and gambling?" So that kind of told us that there is a disconnect. And we are trying very hard and we are trying very sincerely to bridge that gap. And we have no other motive than to grow this cruise line, to be good citizens, and to be a profitable venture. And we believe being a part of the community is as critical as delivering a great cruise product and as critical as being here. Because we want people to know us and we want to give back to the society in a way that they feel this is our home team, this is our cruise ship, this is a ship I want to go on cruising whenever it comes to their mind. And we know better than anyone else, it's not a one-way street. So to answer your question in a nutshell, that we are very open to contribute. We would like to be a part of the society. We would like to be known as a good citizen. We want to be in a situation that in 6 months' time, you come and say, wow, this was a great transaction. The second ship has made all the difference. This is what we've always wanted.
All right, great. Well, we'll work diligently together to make that happen.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Before we open it up to comments on quite a few cards, is our city manager, Jonathan Evans, did you want to come on up for a second? Just say hi and your thoughts. Thank you.
Jonathan Evans, City Manager, Riviera Beach. And I think it's only fitting to read the side of the boat and see grand celebration, because this is what this is. It's a grand celebration. And I've never been to a meeting before where I get to leave and tell my elected officials that we have potentially $73 million worth of economic impact that will happen in our community attributable to this arrangement. So certainly this is something that's very exciting. And also I did want to express my deepest appreciation for the court and their leadership to seeing the benefit associated with this type of an agreement. And you can rest assured on the city side that we're going to work diligently to create those spaces and those hubs where people can come to the community and extend their stay. Because I have the fortunate opportunity where I live to look at the cruise ship coming in and going out, and I sit there and I say, you know, people save up an entire year, maybe even 2 years, to come spend a couple days with us in paradise. And so how do we capture that opportunity and that magic to really leverage it to create economic development and impact in our community? So we are certainly excited, looking forward to the opportunity, looking forward to working with the entity to spear that job fair and how can we advertise and market. I've even had a conversation with one of our local residents is that we'd love to have where we take some of our senior citizens on a cruise and take them out to explore some different things that they may have not done in their life. So this is certainly a great opportunity. And I do also want to offer my service if I have to go to Greece as well, to make sure that the vessel can fit into the port. I certainly can make my schedule available for such. But certainly, thank you so much for allowing me to speak. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity to invest in Riviera Beach. And we're looking forward to seeing the economic impact here in this community. And you have a city that realized the importance of economic development, but more importantly, let's not just stop the conversation here. Planning without implementation is hallucination. And so we have to make sure that those dollars transition into gainful employment opportunities for our residents and see our businesses grow, because we're focused on economic development. And this, I think, is one of the linchpins that's going to help us move forward. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and looking forward to working with each and every one of you. And to our new partners, thank you so much for bringing another ship, and I'm sure if you want to bring another one, we'll find a way.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Evans? Mr. Evans?
Yes.
I just want to share one thing with you. When I was meeting with the owners yesterday, they also offered, they mentioned the city, and they offered to join me at the first meeting of the month one time to introduce themselves to your city council and the mayor. And the only other thing that we could ask them to do is to relocate from Deerfield as quickly as possible to the beautiful city of Riviera Beach.
Absolutely. We'd love to facilitate that.
Great. Thank you very much.
Chairman, if I could just add to Commissioner Richards' comments about community leaders. I know that the two presidents of the chambers have a few words they'd like to mention. Jorge from the Convention and Visitors Bureau would also like to just say a few words. He does lead this county in tourism, and I think it's very appropriate.
He could start off with public comments.
Thank you very much. It's really an honor to be here, actually for the first time, and just in support of Mr. Cosa's statement about being part of the community. We've also, as you know, we are the official tourism marketing corporation for Palm Beach County. Our role is to bring as many visitors as we can, to spend as much money and create economic vitality for our area. And they've reached out to us to develop a partnership program with us. Anybody who brings 1 million+ people to the county that we can talk to, that we can communicate with, to extend their stay before or after, is a good thing for tourism for Palm Beach County. We expect to find a number of ways to maximize the stays before or after the cruise, and to market and to brand things so that the image of Palm Beach County is elevated along with the one of the cruise here. So we support this fully. Thank you.
I know we have both our Chamber of Commerce people here. Dennis is here, and people from North Palm Beach. So
Thank you
thanks
very
for coming.
much. Oh, pleasure. Thank you, members of the commission. Manny, thank you so much for the invitation. Beth Hegel, President and CEO of the Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce. I have to say it's very exciting to be here tonight and to hear these numbers of economic impact. I was so glad to see Jorge come up first, because when we talked about partnerships and what have you, tourism is a huge part of driving our economy, and to know that Discover the Palm Beaches is on board with this and working with the chambers and the communities to ensure that folks stay here, they spend their money here, is critically important to drive those numbers that you saw even up farther. The other thing exciting to us, the city of Riviera Beach is also, and the CRA, are members of the chamber, as is the port, as is the entity that's coming before you with the contract. And we all work very closely together on workforce development, job creation, everything related to economic development. The perspective on the workforce side for the city of Riviera Beach and the residents here is very, very encouraging and very important to us. So given all the elements, the aspects of this, we are excited and in support of this. You can count on us to work very closely. I'm sure you will hear the very same thing from Dennis Brady, to work very closely to assist the port and the cruise line in maximizing everything that was put forward today. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I thank you for being a big part of Palm Beach North.
Thank you, Beth. Dennis?
Mr. Chairman, Dennis Grady, I'm CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches. Our leadership endorsed the item before you yesterday afternoon, and I'm pleased to say we enthusiastically endorsed the presentation you've received this afternoon. As my father said very, very well, the partnership with Discover in marketing and promoting our area is legendary, and it will help these two ships to be very successful. Our commitment, Commissioner Richards, you're absolutely correct. There's no coasting in the economic world. You're either going uphill or you're sliding back. And we will continue to commit to work with you and Discover and the cruise ships in making what we offer here to be the best possible. As we should always remember, the #1 industry in the state of Florida and Palm Beach County is travel and tourism. We can't lose focus of that. Thank you.
We'll go to the list. We have a representative from the town of Palm Beach, Jay. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, so come on up and first tell me what it is.
I'm sorry, Chairman, could we just have Nick Leone speak really quick from Palm Beach Parking?
Just a quick note.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Okay. Anything. Well, hello, everybody. How are you today? We've been here at the Port of Palm Beach, our company, Palm Beach Parking. I'm the executive vice president for 12 plus years. I've been in business with Palm Beach Parking for 20 years in Palm Beach County, Broward and Dade. But one thing that we haven't spoken about that's really vital to my company and all the small businesses that are busier with the cruise ship out of season, which our season obviously ends in May and begins in the beginning of November. The bulk of our big business with the port occurs during the out of season months of the year. And all the small businesses around here, let's ask our friends over at Miami Subs right across the street what they do in season when all of our snowbirds are here. Out of season is where we all suffer. I've been able to employ my staff, 35 to 70 employees, switching over all year long because of our affiliation with the port. A second vessel obviously is going to double those numbers for our company, which is very nice for our company. And the key for us is that what it's done for our company, a small business, out of season to keep our employees employed on a year-round basis. So we thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Nick Leone knows how to say my last name. I'm Jay Booth from the Deputy Town Manager for the Town of Palm Beach, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak. Chairman Zicklin, Vice Chair Enright, members of the Commission, and Director Amara, and staff. This sounds like a fantastic opportunity for the port and its overall bottom line. But I'm here today on behalf of the town and its residents to express a couple of concerns, a couple of things that we would like for you to consider. First,
Speak up. Speak a little louder.
I'm sorry. Oh, I turned it off. I'm sorry. The reason for my visit today is to respectfully request a small pause in any decision relative to this action to give your partners and the stakeholders, including the town of the inlet, to address a number of concerns that we have with the addition of the second cruise ship. And we do so, we request so, with the intent of ensuring that we continue to maintain the harmony that exists today between the many stakeholders of the inlet community, the broader inlet community, and port operations. A couple of concerns that I'd just like to express today, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity for our staff to talk to your staff and try to work through them before action is taken. The first being concerns that our residents have relative to the potential adverse impacts to safety for the many existing recreational uses of the inlet area. Every time a vessel comes in and out of port, there's a significant risk to those that are in the water. So we're concerned about the increased traffic of a vessel this large. We're also concerned about the increase in potential damage, liability damage to public and private property as this vessel moves in and out of port. I know that someone from the Pilots Association spoke a little earlier, and I was happy to hear that the association has reviewed this vessel, its ability to navigate the inlet. But we're concerned about a conflict that exists relative to the published documents from the association that state that all vessels with a beam of over 100 feet should be restricted from entering the inlet due to the narrow width of the inner channel. And we know that the beam on this new vessel, it exceeds 100 feet, not a lot. It does have a maximum beam of 111 feet, but we understand that at the water line it's about 101 feet. So we just want to make sure that this conflict has been addressed properly and everyone feels okay about it. The third thing that I wanted to
You
address.
need to wrap this up, your time. is
Okay, I'm
up.
sorry, that's what that beat was, all right. The last thing that I wanted to address is, what are the contingency plans, if one of the vessels does become disabled while in port here, at the Port of Palm Beach? What plans are in place? And then, before I step away from the podium, I just would like to take this opportunity to thank the commission and thank staff. I think over the last couple of years, we've developed a great working relationship with your organization, and we'd like to continue building upon that, and we hope to have some conversations about this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, Central Link.
Good evening, I'm Lisa Interlandy with the Everglades Law Center. I believe that you all did receive a letter from Mr. Keith Beatty from the Sabre Inlet Coalition, which did identify some of the concerns that the coalition had raised previously, or had wanted to raise with the council, the Port Commission, relative to the new vessel. Just wanted to reiterate a couple of those issues that were already also raised by Mr. Budishwar. We do have some concerns about the size of the vessel. I was very pleased to hear from Mr. Hansen that the vessel is able to fit within the inlet without further expansion and does not necessitate any widening or deepening of the channel. That is our primary concern. That is the primary concern of the environmental organizations that I represent as well, the Sierra Club and the Florida Wildlife Federation, because those organizations and the Sabre Inlet Coalition do remain opposed to any expansion and widening of the channel. So with that said, I think it's really important to make sure that that is very clearly stated, as you did, and I appreciate you getting that very clearly on the record, that this vessel will not necessitate further expansion of the channel. We do have some issues with the long-term safety concerns, and just with two vessels of this large size operating, it does increase those. With the beam of 100 feet, I believe that the vessel does come very close to, in the narrowest part of the channel, to the residences that are in Palm Beach. And I know that when the existing vessel does come out, it is quite close to those homes. So I hope that the port will look at if there's any operational issues or operational restrictions or anything to minimize the impact on the residents who live on the island. I think that you may also hear from Dr. Powell, who is an expert on manatees, and he may have some other information that I'd like to I can't really reiterate it because he hasn't said it, but the environmental organizations do also have concerns about impacts to listed species, such as manatees. So with that said, I thank you for your consideration of our comments, and I hope that you will take this under advisement and very thoroughly look into those issues.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Susan Dorsch.
My name is Susanne Durst. I wasn't going to speak, but now that I'm here, I actually have one question. What do these huge vessels do with their garbage?
Good question. Well, we have three kinds of garbage. One is solid, that we discharge in Freeport, and the reason for doing that, it's cheaper to do there. We segregate garbage on board, so it's done in a very processed manner. And then we can talk about sewage, which in our industry we call gray water and black water. We have a sewage treatment plant on board, which is on our existing vessel and would be on the new vessel as well. So that treats that part of the waste on board. And these are all regulated by the regulatory agencies who come periodically to check them. And there is no special rule for us or any other ship. The entire industry is regulated that way.
Okay, thank you very much. Chuck Collins.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good afternoon. I'm Chuck Collins, Executive Director of the Marine Industries Association of Palm Beach County. We're a trade-based association, nonprofit, whose sole purpose is to promote and protect the growth of the marine industry in this county. Currently, this industry is about $2 billion and employs about 20,000 people within the county. So it's a great organization. It's a key part of the county. And on behalf of the members and our board, I just want to say we support bringing this second vessel into the county. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I also have a letter of support for you.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Dr. Paul.
Thank you, Commissioners, for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is James Powell. I'm the Executive Director of Cedar Shore Alliance. We're not an advocacy group, we're a science-based organization. In my former life, I was also worked for FWC, and I was responsible for picking up all the dead manatees around the state where my office was and doing a necropsy to determine the cause of death. So I've been studying manatees for over 40 years and have spent since the 70s working on manatees down here. As you know, this is one of the centers of manatee distribution and abundance right here in your county, and as FPL has created this Manatee Lagoon, is becoming a hub for more tourism here, as they've now, I think last year, had 10,000 people come through their facility. They come down here to stay warm during the wintertime. They come down the Intercoastal Waterway. They also come down to the beach. So this is also like a center for them as they come down and pass south. There's about 500 animals that go to Manatee Lagoon into the warm water sanctuary, but there's thousands of manatees that pass through here twice a year. So our concern here is that with these larger vessels, that there's the space between the hull and also the bottom can create suction. They roll against the bottom of the vessel and can become either drowned or crushed, which is blunt trauma. Or for example, up at the Port of Jacksonville, we've actually had manatees cut in half by the screws. And so what happens is they get caught in this suction created by these large vessels, and it can end up killing them. And particularly calves. Calves aren't strong swimmers, and so mothers and calves come down here to have their babies, and that these can get caught by these larger vessels. So we do know that large vessels and manatees can cohabitate, but what we want to do is just make sure that there's caution and there are opportunities to try and mitigate and to reduce any risk to manatees. There are a number of ways that this can be done, but my concern is the seasonality of these vessels coming in. Manatee season, as you know, is November 15th through the roughly the middle of March. You've got hundreds and thousands of those animals here, and there's not too many different ways that they can pass back and forth with each other. And so one of my concerns I'd sort of like to know a little bit more about is the speed of the vessel, the draft of the vessel, the width of the vessel as comparison to the bathymetry of the lagoon, and how many times a day that these vessels will be going back and forth, because that needs to be put into a model of first aid to assess the amount of risk that would be involved. And I don't know whether any of these considerations have been made up to this point.
We can certainly get you all that information, and we appreciate you coming, and we'll certainly, we're all lovers of manatees, so we're in the same ballgame as you are, so we'll do whatever we can to help protect them.
It wouldn't be a good PR thing for a half a manatee to show up.
I've never seen one. I've been here for 35 years, so thank you.
I have a question. Do you have any, is there any history of this current cruise ship killing any manatees, or do you know?
Of the current cruise ship, there has been some vessel-related mortality in this area, but fortunately not very much. And so part of the concern is if you step up the amount of usage of this region, that of course is going to increase the risk. To get a half a manatee, that's pretty easy to tell where it comes from. But if they're crushed or they're injured, they can actually swim some distance away before they die, and then you can't necessarily have the cost.
But there are ways to mitigate this, you're saying?
There are ways to mitigate it, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. Does anybody else need to speak on H1? I don't have any more cards. So, hey, Gerald, you want to wrap it up?
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate your time this evening on this item. And I would ask for your respectful approval and consideration of the Paradise Cruise Line Operator Multi-Vessel Agreement and authorize final execution by the Executive Director.
I would like to make a motion that, because I heard from some people that they kind of wanted a little more time to process it, like the town of Palm Beach. And maybe giving the manatee guy a little time to talk to the cruise. I would just like to make a motion that we delay the decision for, 30 days.
All right, do we have a second? Okay, we don't have a second. Do we have another motion, Commissioner Richards?
I move approval of this item.
All right, we have a motion, Commissioner, second. Commissioner MacArthur, any other discussion? Go ahead. Oh,
I
Wayne,
just like,
go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry.
I do want to direct staff to please meet with the town of Palm Beach. We have worked diligently to foster a relationship. I spoke to our Mayor Caniglio yesterday. She reached out. We had a wonderful conversation. We respect her concerns. We respect all of those concerns. So please make a point to meet with the town very soon. I'm willing to go with you if you like. Sure. I want to make sure that we address their concerns. Oh, well, we have addressed their concerns. I want to know that we have addressed them and that we want to continue this relationship and work very diligently to improve it.
I should not have let him go first because he basically said what I wanted to say. The concerns that were mentioned, I think most of them have already been addressed. But certainly the information, and like for instance, the question about the contingency in case one of the ships became disabled. I mean, that's a very valid question, and I'm sure we either have or should have a contingency plan to handle that. But I don't see any reason to not proceed at this time, but we certainly will work with the town of Palm Beach and the Manatee folks to do everything we can.
Go ahead.
I just want to make one comment that I'm in agreement that we should proceed, but I would like the town of Palm Beach to know that at all times, the Port of Palm Beach, whenever we look at bringing or increasing our business here, we always look at the safety factors. So I don't want someone to go out and think that, hey, we're just doing something to do it. We're trying to increase the revenue in our town, in the surrounding areas, also bringing jobs, but also we're concerned about the environment as well. So I'm in agreement, and I think we should go forward with the contract.
If I could make one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I believe the benefits to the community are gonna be great. My only concern is that people feel comfortable with the decision so that, everybody's, aligned. If I could, before I vote, I'd like to get a commitment from O'Neill about talking to the town of Palm Beach and to the Manatee representative to try to work through the issues.
Absolutely, and as you know, there were some concerns and questions that were brought to our attention, and we have addressed them very promptly. And we don't want to be seen as someone who doesn't respect the environment or pushing a ship against everyone's wishes. So just to answer your question, certainly yes. And also just for everyone's benefit, the draft of the ship is 7.8 meters, about 25 feet. The channel depth is maintained at 35, 36 feet. I just read that online. So there is certainly, from that perspective, there's enough depth for ships to come in and out. And point number two is our vessel leaves only once a day and comes once a day. If that would have been a real concern, probably the tropical ships and other ships and yachts, there's continuous movement of ships through that inlet. So it doesn't really increase any probability from that perspective. But just to cut it short, we're very happy to address anyone's concerns and if need be, take any steps that would make them more comfortable.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just one last point is that, years, the Port of Palm Beach has won many environmental awards from AAPA. We're very cognizant about our port, and I think we can put our port up our safety record versus any port in the United States. So with that, we'll go ahead and take the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carries unanimously 5-0.
Thank
Very
you.
good. All right. second, or people from Cruise or leaving? All right, Ken, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Request for purchase Salem Video Management System. As part of the federal Facility Security Plan requirements under CFR 33 Part 105 and State of Florida required video management retention for government facilities, video monitoring and management is required. Board staff is seeking to purchase 2 HD NVRs with 84 terabytes of storage capacity under a previously approved Neosystems contract. It should be noted that our current provider is providing the equipment at cost from the manufacturer and is in addition to passing on a 20% manufacturer's discount on the equipment. These 2 systems will be replacing 5 systems that we currently have.
Second.
The funding for this, is this any?
Port Security Grant Program, 7525. Port share is $20,000, federal share is $61,000.
This is the sole source?
It's not a sole source, but it's under the existing contract with Neosystems, and again, it's being provided from the manufacturer at cost.
Thank you. Good. All those in favor? All opposed? Carries 5-0. Thank you.
Item H3, 11th Street fencing project. The current ornamental fencing along 11th Street and Avenue C is currently in disrepair and unsightly and in need of replacement. Port staff has been in discussions with our neighbor, Martin Murphy, to work in a collaborative effort to improve this area and with his concurrence and financial participation. With the approval of the commission, this project was advertised in the Palm Beach Post and Port's websites in accordance with the Port's procurement process. 2 bids were received. You approved.
Before we do that, Marty Murphy wants to, he's still here. Marty, there he is.
No, the only thing I wanted to say is I've been working with the port staff, mostly Ken and Manny, and I'm in total agreement. We've been, a few of you I've talked to for how long, Wayne? 4, 5, 6, 7?
It's been a while.
Okay. So we're in total agreement. The only thing that I told Ken that I need to see is, a site plan and understand the cost.
Yep. We'll do it.
I'll spend your money. That's what I'm worried about.
All right, so now do we have a,
Second.
who's it, motion? Peyton?
Second.
Catherine has a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, all opposed, carries 5-0. All right.
Commissioner Richards, as well as for next year's budget, we are going to be moving our way towards MLK Boulevard.
Okay, I saw that. Thank you for that, Mr. Director.
Okay, item H4, adoption of the Port of Palm Beach Tariff number 21 and freight tariff PPBD 8015-I. The Port of Palm Beach District held public hearings on June 9th, June 23rd, and July 7th to discuss the proposed Port of Palm Beach tariff, with no opposition expressed at those meetings.
Okay, we have a motion. Approval. Mr. Richards. Jan Droid, second. Any discussion? All in favor, all opposed, carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
5.
Commissioners, Carl Baker, Director of Planning. Before I begin, I would like to apologize to Ms. Casquera and to the board. I've had the completely wrong slides stacked up in the computer. She put a lot of time into the correct ones, and I had the wrong presentation on the deck. And for that, I apologize.
That's all right, no problem.
For the JPA number 1, this is a JPA with Florida Department of Transportation for $4 million. This will actually allow us to demolish the Maritime Office Building and reconfigure the land as a reefer yard for port tenants.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Second, any discussion? All in favor, all opposed, carries 4-0. Commissioner Richards not here. Okay. skipping 7, H7?
H6.
H6. Oh, okay. H6, all right.
Commissioners, what's in front of you is really looking for guidance from the board. What had happened was, we had a request for a resolution, I believe, and it was between board meetings. So what the practice has been up until now has been that the resolutions take on each of your electronic signatures. My concern and my question was, what if a commissioner does not want to be part of that particular resolution? So therefore, our request, and the only way we see ourselves out of this would be if we can wait until the following board meeting, present it, and then have a unanimous vote for your names to be on each of these resos or proclamations. To that end, what I would like to do is have our attorney explain the difference between a proclamation versus a resolution, right?
They're very similar. The proclamation does not have any real legal effect. It's an acknowledgement of contributions of an individual or entity, I suppose, in some way to Palm Beach County and the community. It doesn't cost any money, and it doesn't have any effect on the budget. It's just truly a recognition sort of undertaking.
This is the proclamation?
The proclamation.
And resolution was
The resolution is what the board votes on every day. Every time we have a meeting, and it goes by different names, but it's a resolution.
So you're saying that we should do proclamations would be easier than a resolution, or?
What, no, well.
Or don't you care?
I'm saying that there's no financial action to take, no financial consideration associated with the proclamation. And it's simply a way of, since a proclamation is a recognition of a person, let's say.
So what should we use?
Let's say five, you vote and 4 people are in favor of the proclamation and 1 isn't. And what are you gonna do? You're gonna have like 4 names and another one says denied?
Right. We have to have
you see that.
I understand.
And if you're gonna say, well, it's gonna be signed by the chairman.
Right.
Well, what if you're the one that voted against it?
Right. So we have to do 2 things. First, we need to find out if we're going to do proclamations or resolutions. That's 1. And then 2, we need to figure out how we should do this so we're all in agreement.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
For instance, let's say I'm sorry.
No,
Let's
you
say
go ahead.
someone wants to have a proclamation
For you.
Okay.
Why
Let's say
stay with us?
something that's more likely to happen. It can only be done at the board meeting. It can't be done before a board meeting, and it just comes up proclamation to acknowledge someone.
Yeah. All right. We need a policy.
So the question is it going to be signed by commissioners, or
Right.
is it going to be signed by the executive director?
Okay, good.
I just want to say 1 or 2 things. In my tenure here, I know that I've been involved in all of them that have been written. And although other commissioners did not say anything, the people who were selected, and we need to come up with a process and procedure, I made sure that they were stellar people in the community, like we did Herman McCray, like we did Louise Bowie, and the bridges were named after her, and Herman, the other bridges named after. We did Nina Ribbon, who's considered Palm Beach County Miss Head Start, who's brought Head Start to Palm Beach County. So there were people who were not just elected, they were not elected officials, I mean, you could have been, but they were people who were outstanding and who really cared about the community. So I guess we need to come up with a criteria.
Exactly.
Also, we also tried to accept one person I missed because I didn't know, Wayne didn't tell me. We also tried to make sure that if they were former port commissioners, that I kind of made sure, but I didn't know until the guy had already died and came. Right, and so we always made sure that we acknowledged them and gave them some kind of resolution to their family for their years and tenures serving on the court. So all the years that I did this, I haven't had anyone.
You mean we did this?
Because I did have their signatures. I haven't had anyone come back and say, Gene, you screwed up or you shouldn't acknowledge them. But as a port, I don't feel feel that we could have a resolution or a proclamation, whatever you say, without having all our signatures, because it
Wayne,
represents us.
okay, Wayne's gonna figure this.
No, I'm not, and I don't care to, but I do want to add, I think one of the big issues is staff. You know, these are all well-intentioned,
Right.
great people that one or many of us wish to recognize, but we've overwhelmed our staff. And I have not heard these words, these are my words. We drive them crazy. At the last minute, we just bombard them, and we're relentless, and staff has to deal with us, and we're the bosses, and that's not right. So the question is, how can this be done in an organized manner, so that we do not bombard staff when they want to jump up the building? So that's what we have to do.
Well, also, I think what has happened too is that I've always made sure that I've done the research and brought it to the port. It's not like the person who.
Well, we're talking about timing now, not whether you've done the research. We all know
Right, but
that
it
these
should-
people are
it-
good.
Right, but it should only take, to do a resolution, should only take maybe about a couple minutes, because
Right.
we already have the
No,
templates.
no,
And
no.
it's if we wanna do it, it's if we wanna do it.
We've done resolutions before, and you've gotta do, Peggy used to spend hours doing research that they were born in so-and-so, and they went to so-and-so's school. So that's gonna take more.
If the commissioner provides it, making sure that the commissioner provides the information. The commissioner needs to provide
Right,
the
but-
information. I'll get the information if you all have some folks.
So let's,
I'll be the person to
Peggy,
get
what
the
do you think?
information.
So Claire, I think I want to support doing it.
Right.
So that's clear.
But we need to
That's-
have a
correct.
procedure.
It has to be a process. That's important.
all right, so everyone think about it, and the next,
I was just gonna say, as Commissioner Richards said, the question came to me from staff, do we put all 5 commissioners' signatures on it? That was the only
Yeah,
question that came
right.
to me, do we put all 5 signatures
Right.
on it? And I would say maybe a way we could handle it is if it's a unanimous vote for the proclamation, that you can put all 5 signatures on it. If it's not, then the executive director can sign it so that it doesn't look like only 3
all
out
right,
of 5
well,
thought
let's
somebody
not take
was
any
gonna-
more time on this, and everyone will think about it, talk
Bring
to
it back.
Manny, and bring it back in month. We'll come to a logical conclusion, hopefully. Maybe not. All
So
right,
you want us to bring it back?
yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, maybe can we submit our suggestions to Mr. Mayor?
Absolutely, just
In
call-
writing, and then
just call
we
on
can
the phone.
submit, and then-
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, do we need to defer this, continue this next month?
Yeah, we'll bring it up, and then by then we'll have
I'll move that this be continued the next month.
all right. I don't think we, all right.
Okay.
Motion second, all in favor, all opposed, carries 5. All right, we'll bring it back up. Okay, Carl.
Sir, Ford staff is requesting permission to go out and ask for a request for qualifications under a CCNA process.
This is 8, right? We're on,
Yes, sir, this is, I'm
8,
sorry,
okay.
this is H8.
Marty Marty 7 was, Dale, because he had.
Motion to approve?
Okay, motion
Second.
approved, H8, second. Any other discussion? All in favor, all opposed, carries 5-0, okay?
Thank you.
H9 is the consideration for the selection of group health insurance providers and the broker of record. Currently, health insurance agreements are with United Healthcare, MetLife, a dental, Guardian, and long-term disability, short-term disability and life insurance, and Humana for vision. Our broker is suggesting and recommending that we stay with all of the companies for the coming year. The incremental cost to the port would be about $82,000. I want to commend Cliff on the hard work he did in negotiating it down from a 16% increase to slightly over 10%. And I would like to recommend that the respectfully request Cliff Bearing to place the reference policies for the port, that they authorize the executive director to sign the contracts with United Healthcare, and MetLife for dental, Guardian, long-term disability, short-term disability, and life, and Humana for vision, and that the port commissioners approve Cliff Bearing Insurance to be the port's broker of record for fiscal year 2019.
I'll make a motion.
Is that two motions in one? Is that two
Wayne,
motions in one?
Catherine, second, any discussion? All I can say is that
Good job.
I spoke to Cliff quite a bit in the last month, and this, believe me, was not an easy job that he did. I mean, healthcare is just unbelievable. And like I said, I think I know this stuff pretty well because of him, but like I said, this is keeping the existing United Healthcare policy, and next year, I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed, but everyone stay healthy and we'll be fine.
We'll be on single payer next year, the whole nation.
Probably, yeah, it could be so. All right, all in favor, all opposed, carries 5-0. Thank you, Cliff. Okay, Paul?
Page 10 is for the approval of Port of Palm Beach's general insurance renewal and purchases. We secure its annual general insurance policies through the broker of record, USI Services. They were appointed last year. USI uses Pidgeot Preferred Government Insurance Trust for its policies excluding marine liability, PLH, and hull and umbrella. Pidgeot has agreed to hold current rates that they're offering us for a 2-year period. There's been a reduction in premium and the elimination of the MOB. Overall, it'll be $120,000.
Motion to approve at 1, 2, and 3?
I would like to change the recommendation.
Okay. Always in a hurry, baby.
Our broker record was able to work with the insurance companies to secure these rates for 2 years. With that effort, I'd like to ask that the board appoint USI, our broker of agent, for 2019 and 2020 through the term of both of these agreements.
Very good.
All right.
Second that.
Second, Dave made the motion, second, Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Good job on that also. All in favor, all opposed, carries 5-0. Any other comment? Oh, yes, we have a Ms. Shepherd. Who else?
Ms. Shepherd.
Ms. Shepherd.
You've been waiting on it?
Well,
Very patiently.
yes, she has, but she wanted to speak on her comments from the public.
Margaret Shepherd,
Yes.
Riviera Beach, to the Ombudsman Chair, Vice Chair, to all of you in your respectful places. Of course, my favorite, Manny. I hope you don't mind me calling you that. I want to thank
He's
you
been
all.
called worse, believe me.
He's my favorite.
Yeah, ours too.
But I want to thank you for the purchase of the tickets to the event on August the 26th at 6 o'clock at Hearst Chapel Church on Silver Beach Road, S Avenue. And I was just bringing them here today to make sure if the board was going to this event. If not, I'll be more than happy to take them off your hands to give them to some of the very fine senior citizens here in Riviera Beach. I'm just honored because this particular entity have always have made it very strenuous and just very elating that you take care of our senior citizens. And I just want to say I thank you very much. It's just been a pleasure to serve. I was told the other day that I was nominated as Senior of the Year for the Youth Recreation. I don't want to talk too much about it because I cried. It was very touching, but when you work hard, people do reward you. So I want to thank you, and just to thank Dr. Enright. When we started this journey about 14 years ago, we only sold, I think I was with Miss Eureka Richards at first, and we had 2 tables. And then I bumped into this little lady, and she says, oh, I can take care of you and the seniors. So for 10 years, we had 10 tables, $40, I think for the first 5 years, or 5 or 6 years. And after that, it was $50 a table. So you can kind of do the math, how we have worked together. So I want to thank you and thank the chair and vice chair for even just thinking of me enough to make sure that the seniors get an opportunity to go to this event. If not, the port has a table, and you all are welcome to be there at 6 o'clock sharp, because Dan Calloway starts on what? Time. Thank you. And I think, Ms. Walden, I saw your name on a document with Mr. Calloway. Was that?
They made them could be true. He's a good guy, so.
Okay, I think I saw
support
it.
them. I've been to that event before, and it's a great event.
Okay, I think I saw your name.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
And there will be some tickets for senior citizens.
Yes.
Some of us are gonna be at it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna put them in somebody's
All right.
hand.
All right, we'll give them right back.
My number is here, you can call me and I'll come back and pick them up.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other members of the public have anything? I don't have any more cards, I believe.
Special
Commissioners?
meeting.
What?
Special meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Public, commissioner comment first.
All right, now, yeah, commissioner comments, anything?
Let's start with ladies, please.
All right.
I'm kind of all talked out, so.
I just have one thing, about a matter. If you could, just come back to the board with some of your new techniques or procedures and policies for, doing wire transfers, if you could just do that for us.
Yeah, we're
That's
trying
all.
not to do any wire transfers.
Right, but I'm saying, if you could come back to us with
Sure.
some of the new things that you plan to implement and put in place for us, just to make sure.
Each of you will
Okay.
get a.
Okay, that's all. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Manuel, could you bring us up to date on the schedule for maintenance striping?
The maintenance schedule, yes. At the end of the month, there will be a bid, there will be go out, proposal, and then they anticipate at the end of September, they have the interested parties, there'll be a selection, and we can either see a maintenance dredge out there either middle of December or early January. This is the latest from the Army Corps.
And is this one the full one or the?
This one is full, yes. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you mentioned this. They did a fantastic job 2 years ago. Believe it or not, it's been 2 years since they cleaned up. And again, according to the Army Corps, they will be concentrating this year like they did previous in the settled basin. That seems to be the trick.
Not quite sure how to handle this, but our staff has done a phenomenal job over the course of many years. Larry, you've been here quite a while. Gene, you're catching up. And I remember years of change, turbulence. I remember the bad years. We've had many great years. Our numbers year over year are constantly increasing. Our expenses for years without flat, incomes going up. I'm not sure that we are properly rewarding and incentivizing our staff. I'm just not. Those of us in the financial industry, we read journals and we see how CEOs and their lieutenants are properly rewarding. I'm not certain we're properly rewarding our staff a great job. Of course, as the numbers go up every year, we would increase it some percent. I don't think we're behaving as an executive board would to maintain a high-performing staff. We have high-performing staff. And I think we should, going forward, we should think about that. I'm not saying it do something today, but we have high-performing staff. We should reward them accordingly.
Are you talking about, I assume you're talking about monetary?
Yes.
So,
Not lunch, but yes.
not lunch?
Well, that's something.
And you're talking about all the
I'm
staff.
sorry, please.
No, I understand, I just wanted to be
Yes.
sure. I
Right.
understand.
Everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, and one thing like we all have to think about too is there's a lot of benefits that the staff get that don't show up on their salary. Like I said about the health insurance, it's anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 is the cost that we pay. So if you're making $50,000 and you get another $25,000, that's a pretty good bonus. Plus, their time off is very substantial.
He knew where to get me. He knew where to get me.
So I'm saying, but everything's open. But like I say, that's the Cadillac of all. You think the health is the Cadillac, the days off is the real Maserati.
I'd rather have you're
talking about Columbus Day.
I'd rather have everything done correctly.
Right.
If the time is excessive, I'd rather have it be corrected, and I'd rather correct the compensation.
Right. Okay.
I'm going on the record. I'm going to bring it up again. Just start thinking about it.
We can start looking at other ports too, and get some ideas with other ports.
And, Mr. Chairman, could staff bring back with us, an analysis, like for instance, you're recommending a 3% increase? What if it was a 4% increase, and what if, or come back and tell us what every percent would be if it was 4
Simple
or 5?
enough.
Just so we know.
Unless Paul objects, straight.
I will balance the budget any way you want.
Mr. Chairman,
Last thing.
I know, Commissioner Richards had a point. I think we need to look at the whole package and see, just like you said, health insurance, we need to look at everything. And I also want to look at the little people at the bottom, because I guess I have a psychological problem when you have an executive director which makes 4 times as much as some of the other department heads and stuff like that. So I think we need to look at it.
Well, I mean, if you look at Fortune 500 companies, they make 100 times.
Exactly.
Right, but then
Four times is nothing.
we have little workers that are worker bees, and I just feel uncomfortable, and I want them to go.
Well, like I said, we could look at other ports too, and so, like I said, I'm sure that we're, yeah, so. All right, so special meeting, which I guess we need.
I need to just use the language from the statute that Port Council desires advice concerning the LMH litigation in executive session. An executive session has to be at a public meeting, so we open the meeting, then go into executive session, because I'm requesting a special meeting.
So it would be after the board meeting?
Well,
Or same time?
The board meeting opens.
Right,
And then we go
so it's the
right
same
into
day
the
as the board.
executive session, and then we come back.
Okay.
Let me ask you this.
Hold on.
Here's Don, yeah, well, yeah, here's Don Bicknell. Everyone stop talking for 1 second. Don Bicknell.
Don Bicknell,
You
here
can
in Dietrich,
explain why we need it like in like the next 2 weeks, and, or we can't wait till
I
next week?
I would like it either next week or the following week because of the matters that are taking place that I believe need to be discussed as far as direction from the board on where they wish to go relative to the matters that Jose has brought up today in direction as to where I believe we should go, and we'll recommend to the board. So I would ask next week or the following week. I'd ask not next Friday if that's possible. That's the only major conflict that I cannot easily, or if at all, change because I've got an inspection set up with numbers of.
Is there some reason why we didn't have a executive session today?
Well, developments, there have been developments in this last week, and it needs the request for the meeting for an executive.
We would have had to request it at the last meeting
Has to
to
be
schedule
made.
one.
You do?
Yeah.
Right.
You have to, no, you have to do 30 days for an executive session.
But we have to request it at a meeting.
Oh, you have to do it at a.
So,
Oh, I see.
you think the sooner we can have it, the better? So is your preference next week?
I would prefer next week to bring everyone up.
I'm not here next week, so.
The following week is acceptable, but
I'm gonna be out 3 days that following week, but.
Let me- So let me get this,
29:30.
let me get this straight first of all. So you're sure that in an executive session, you have to do it at a public meeting? You're sure?
It's a public request, it's a public-
They don't do that at the county, so I'm just saying, unless the board's different, so
Mr. Chairman?
you don't know. or you-
well, we looked at it, requested it at a meeting and have it at a meeting, start the meeting and adjourn for the executive session.
So we have nothing, I mean, what we can do after we do the executive session,
Say goodbye.
that's it?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I have a couple suggestions, you all might not like them, but, what about tomorrow, Friday? And then if not tomorrow, then,
No.
first thing Monday?
No, no,
Tuesday?
no, no.
Wednesday? Well, we can do about a show of hands who will be here.
Send him our dates when we're available and let staff come up. with
Yeah.
us for the date that's most acceptable to
Oh, we can do it right now. We can do it right now. I'm free. I'm on your time.
All right, let's take a look at the calendar here for a second. So I'm leaving the
Monday the
20th.
28th.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm gonna
just
be out of
so,
town the 26th to the 30th.
Okay, with 25th.
Yeah, the 25th, he said Friday, he can't do it.
24th.
Next Friday?
No, it's 24th.
24th.
Okay.
Let's do the 24th.
24th works for me.
I'm free.
All right.
Done.
What time?
4 o'clock.
You want to do it at 4, you want to do it at lunchtime?
Want to do it at lunchtime? Let's do it at lunchtime and get it over with.
Are
4 PM 24th?
There's definitely some direction that we need to get from the board at this executive session as to actions to take.
Kevin, can you do it at noon?
Sure.
All right, we'll do it at
Free food.
the 24th at noon.
And then we can donate blood afterwards.
Exactly. All right. Are we gonna get anything about this executive session? Are we just gonna go in there cold, or how's it gonna work?
I'll be discussing individually with the
Okay.
board issues that I expect
Good.
will be
Okay. All right.
subject matter.
Very good. So 24th, send out a memo, that everyone does, so no one forgets. Anything else? All right. What? Oh, the regular meeting. Good point. September 21st, 4 o'clock. Okay. Hey.
To adjourn.
We're adjourned. No.
Congratulations. Thank you.